Hi everyone. So I wanted to talk a bit about the conspiracy event skeptic, truther community of YouTube, um, or the whole realm of YouTube, whatever you want to call it. And a lot of people lately have been talking about what we need to do to reach more people, or what we need to do to um, help this movement or this process of learning and teaching each other. Some people have been saying that it's important that YouTubers or anyone trying to share information to not focus so much on the dark fear aspect. Some people are talking about how you need to move past the fact that, we need to show people about crisis actors and media fakery and all that. Some people are saying how important it is to talk about, the big things like, I don't know, I don't even want to talk about it right now, but things that are really divisive. Um, so anyway, I think there might be some truth to a lot of these kind of angles. I wanted to share my personal opinion on this subject of trying to reach more people and be more accessible. Personally, like I I tend to be a fairly open-minded person, but I've never been a conspiracy theorist type. And I know, I've always known that that corner, that like niche of people exists, and I've never really associated with it because I find it terribly hokey. It's like not inviting. It's really dark, and I don't know. It's like you walk into here in town we have a conspiracy bookstore, and a lot of the stuff that they carry is just like, wow, I don't even want to know type of thing. A lot of aliens and reptilians and basically what I would consider disinfo, or just like really unproven theories kind of stuff with nothing to back it up. So, you could believe in anything if you wanted to, right? I think that's the kind of the trap, I guess, that a lot of conspiracy people kind of find themselves in. I don't know if you'd call it a trap, but like it takes a certain kind of open-mindedness to admit to yourself that we are being lied to in so many ways, and that a lot of what we see around, in the TV, or the narratives being told to us, a lot of it is just like completely backwards and false. So, you have to be pretty open-minded to accept that everything is a lie. And so I think in that open-mindedness comes, like, a lot of susceptibility to just be open to any ideas that are being pushed, like friggin' hollow earth or flat earth or whatever. Side note, I think that the flat earth is kind of a bit of a religious thing, because it seems to me like a lot of flat earthers are Christians, and it kind of blends with like the whole, it's like this ancient debate, like evolution versus creationism. It's basically a continuation of that. So I don't think it's really anything new. I think it's just kind of a repackaged religious kind of debate parading, or pretending to be scientific. And science is just, it's what we the best theory we have to date. So science changes, the truth changes, and that's science. So personally, I'm just okay. Things could change. It could not be true. Who knows? But that's that's not what I'm focusing on. But anyway, side note. Back to the topic here. I think what we need to do, one of the things to reach out to people is, like, I feel like there's so many different groups of people that are starting to realize, the level of deception that is everywhere. So, and like truthers or conspiracy theorist people, um, are open-minded enough to kind of see the big picture. Maybe it's a personality trait, maybe it was learned, the whole waking up process, as people refer to it. Um, but not everyone can see the big picture of where it all leads to. The whole pyramid scheme. Like a lot of people will just look at, for example, farming or education or you know, retail, like just anything relates back to it basically, and all of the problems and the direction that the world is going in. If you basically follow the money and the power, it takes you to the same place. Unfortunately, terms like the New World Order and stuff like that have been really kind of typecasted as, you know, pushed by the same kind of people that are the dark, brooding conspiracy types. So I think we just need to be a little bit aware of that and how we present ourselves so that we are more accessible to different groups of people, and reaching out to different groups of people. So, if, for example, I don't know, you could look at like the Gamergate group, for instance, is a big group of gamers that were suddenly woken up to the deception of the social justice warrior slash feminist slash cultural Marxist agenda, um, through video games, and I find that really interesting because there was a link made, and so now all of a sudden you have people who are just interested in video games who are now suddenly taking an interest in issues of, state meddling with your freedom of speech and social engineering and propaganda and all this stuff. I find that really interesting. So, we can kind of use that as an example of how a link was made, and there was a lot of dialogue and, you know, back and forth kind of debating happening, and a lot of arguing. It was really like a strong ongoing thing, and it's still going on today. So, one thing we can do is kind of reach out to this group, for instance, that they might not be all like 9/11 truthers, or they, maybe they don't know about how ISIS was funded by, the United States and all of that. But, maybe through there can be like a link made through, the state propaganda. Also, there's this kind of propaganda. You know what I mean? Finding ways to find things in common between different topics so that people can broaden their scope, if that makes sense. Um, yeah, there's all sorts of different niches out there of people that are starting to wake up to like one piece of the puzzle of the deception, from what I can tell. So I think that if you're the kind of person that can see the big picture, a positive way to use this kind of vision is to go into these groups of people and kind of try to open them up a little bit, and not in a non-antagonistic way, and without ridiculing people who might not see things the way you do, because you're not trying to create enemies. You're trying to get people to kind of see things in your perspective. And I think part of that too is being able to see things in another person's perspective so that they can maybe meet you in the middle, if that makes sense. I'm sorry if this sounds really new age. Um, so, another group, for example, is libertarians. I find often I have a lot of things in common with libertarians, even though I don't subscribe to the political party system. But, just because they do doesn't mean I'm going to write off everything they have to say. In fact, I find it really interesting. And, another positive kind of reaching out thing that we can do is to, for example, leave comments in videos where you kind of see that there might be some common ground, but then there's like that missing thing, like, oh, but we'll just vote this party in, or some, like the punchline is like, no, you kind of missed the point, and then that's where you can maybe leave a comment to be like, well, actually, this is what I see, you know, and because a lot of people read the comments, I read the comments, you know, and but if people come off as assholes, you get written off as a troll, you know, whereas if people leave a thoughtful, well written, kind of pacifist comment, non-divisive, you know, people might kind of give it at least a second of thought, you know, and that's like a tiny little step in the right direction, and it takes like sometimes like thousands of those little moments of like mini epiphanies to kind of get you where you are, because not everyone is born with this like inherent like skepticism and, you know, thirst to think for yourself. Some people want to be told what to think, you know, until it's starting to hurt them or put their life at risk or the lives of their loved ones, right? And that's the point where we're at right now, where it's almost like a selfish thing to not care about these issues. So yeah, I think it's really great that people are starting to talk more and give some thought to presentation. Um, yeah, this is kind of something that I was trying to think about and put into practice from the start when I came into YouTube, because I really didn't feel like I fit in with a lot of the conspiracy stuff. Like I personally, there's a lot of stuff that I just don't care about or I don't find significant. But then if you wade through it, you find like, oh, but there's this is actual good information, you know? I think it's I think it's okay to listen to a bunch of different perspective on things, and even if you don't necessarily buy into 100% what anyone is saying, you know, I think that a piece of our education, like a component of it, is to be able to, you know, think critically and pick things apart for ourselves and make our own, come to our own conclusions without having to just find that one person that's going to tell us how everything is and we just have to agree with them. I think that's kind of like a far-fetched, kind of unrealistic expectation of anyone. So yeah, it's okay to disagree. We need to reach out. Um, yeah, I think we're getting somewhere here. You know, I think there's starting to be a lot more different voices that are kind of speaking about things from a truthful, personal perspective, and not just in the truther circles. Like I said, people in the libertarian circles, people in Gamergate circles, people, you know, anti-vaxxers, you know, people in other countries, for instance. So um, we have to we have to remind ourselves of that and try to, you know, reach out and speak to a larger audience and not put ourselves into a box. I agree with that point that was made, by someone. um, so yeah, that's about it. If you have any thoughts, please leave a comment below. And I'm pretty sure I'll be taking this video down because I don't really want it to stay on my channel. And yeah, thank you for listening. Have a good night.